Hi, this is Rahul Kapoor Jain and welcome to How to Attain Inner Peace and Heal Yourself. Every human being in this world has one desire: to experience inner peace on a constant basis. And yet what we get is exactly the opposite of that: strained relationships, stressful conversations filled with conflicts and misunderstandings, and a variety of mental and physical illness. Ever asked ourselves this question: why does this happen? When you expect A, you get B. There must be something wrong with the way we are actually living our lives. In this program, what I will do is help you to understand the various facets of inner peace, share with you some very effective tools and techniques which you can implement right here and now and experience peace of mind. And finally, of course, to get you started on this journey, this lifelong journey of mastering this art. Before I get started, I'd like to thank three of my own gurus. Vallabhji Bhansali, the man who really helped me to understand that there is a concept of inner peace that actually we can drive from within us. Number two, Gerald Jampolsky, whose book Love is Letting Go of Fear gave me a variety of tools which I could apply in my life and see some dramatic changes. And finally, Debabrata Datta, my Taekwondo, Tai Chi and Qigong trainer, who helped me to understand the world of energy that exists within me and around me and how to use that to attain inner peace. I'm so deeply indebted to each of these gurus. And now I'd like you to get started. Ensure that you have a book and paper with you right now, and you should be able to make important notes and participate in all the exercises that I'm going to share with you during this program. Number two, please keep yourself away from all sorts of distractions. No mobile phones, no messages, no conversations whatsoever with anybody, because the more focus and attention you give to yourself in this program, the better your results will be. And finally, of course, as we get started with this session, I'd like to help you understand that I will run this session using a concept of three important concepts. 1, science; 2, psychology; and 3, spirituality. As we get started now, I'd like you to take a pen and paper and make a note, or just close your eyes and think. What's your expectation from this session? Precisely what do you want? If you can tell me this is what you want, I will be able to guide you through that journey. So here we go. Your 60 seconds time starts now. Start thinking or start writing. Welcome to part 1. In this part, I'm going to help you to understand the concept of inner peace, the power of thoughts and attitudes, and also assist you in defining your own ultimate purpose in life. Let's get started by understanding inner peace or peace of mind. It is a deliberate state of psychological or spiritual calm, despite the potential presence of stressors. Now, the key words here are deliberate state, which means to say you can influence it. Now, the universal truth on which this program is based, in the words of Gerald Jampolsky, it is our own thoughts and attitudes that creates our reality. And it is only our thoughts and attitudes that can harm us or heal us. I'd like you to understand the key words here are thoughts and attitudes. Now, that creates our reality. And if we are creating a certain reality to harm ourselves, we will experience harm. But to heal ourselves, we can then heal ourselves. So second time in this program, I am saying this to you, that you are in control. You can design your own destiny. To help you understand the power of thoughts, let me share with you this very useful conversation that took place between Lord Mahavir and King Shrenik. King Shrenik was on his way to pay homage to Lord Mahavir, and on the way he found a saint who was involved in deep meditation. King Shrenik bowed down to him, continued his journey and reached Lord Mahavir and asked him a question that at this point in time this sage had to die. What would be his destiny? Lord Mahavir replied that he will go to the 7th hell region. King Shrenik was confused. He thought maybe the Lord did not understand exactly what he was trying to ask. So he said, "Oh Lord, in case this saint's soul had to leave his body now, where would it go?" To which Lord Mahavir said, "He will become an angel in the heavenly region." King Shrenik was really baffled, and he said, "Oh Lord, a moment ago you said that he's going to go to hell, and now you're saying he's going to go to heaven. Could you please explain to me, why did you say so?" So Lord Mahavir explained that while you were on your way and you were yet to reach the saint, two of your soldiers who were leading the procession distracted his meditation by having a conversation about his son being betrayed by the untrusted ministers who planned to dethrone him and also kill him. On hearing these things, the saint got completely into rage and he started a mental battle with the ministers. He started hurling his weapons towards those people. And when all his weapons were over and the enemies were still alive, he decided to use his steel helmet and throw it on them to destroy them. At that point in time, you asked me this question. And had he died, he would have gone to the 7th hell region. But as soon as he moved his hand on top of his head to take the steel helmet and throw it at the ministers, he realized that he is not King Prasenjit anymore. He is a saint who has been initiated with the vow of equanimity and also non-violence towards all living beings in thoughts, words and actions. He deeply regretted and repented his actions. He realized that he was unleashing himself with anger, which is exactly the opposite of what a saint should do, which is fill himself with love. The moment that happened and you asked me the question, where would his soul go? I told you that it will go to the heavenly region and he will become an angel, which he did become. But he continued with his purification of mental reflections and he was able to destroy all his karmas and eventually he attained omniscience. This is a powerful story. It explains to us what thoughts can do. As the saint who was almost there in his dying moments, but when his thoughts made him get angry, he actually booked a seat for himself in the hell. But the moment he realized the mistake and he purified his thoughts, he booked himself a seat in heaven. Now, all those of you who are skeptics and who don't believe in spiritual stories too much, well, don't you worry, because I will now give you the explanation of this entire concept using psychology as a base. Gerald Jampolsky uses a concept called mind as a split. He says it's useful for us to think of our mind as a film, a camera, and every other thing that goes into making a movie. He says what we experience really is our state of mind, which is projected outward on a screen called the world. The world and those in it becomes the mirror of our thoughts and fantasies. What the mind projects becomes our perception, which limits our vision as long as we hold on to it. The mind functions as if it were a split, part of it as it were directed by our ego and part of it by our love. Most of the time, our mind pays attention to this pushy pseudo-director that we call the ego, which is simply another name for fear. Ego projects an illusion of separation and conflict, whereas love extends truth. It unites us and makes us feel connected. The mind is actually the director, producer, scriptwriter, film editor, cast, audience, and the critic. The mind, being limitless, has the capacity of changing the movie and everything about it at any given point in time. The mind has the power of making all the decisions. Yes, I repeat, the mind has all the power of making all the decisions. Now let's get back to the story of King Prasenajit, who is now the saint. When his mind projected a movie driven by fear, he fought an imaginary battle, suffered within, and also booked himself a place in hell. But when his own mind projected the movie driven by love for all human beings, he booked himself a place in heaven. Really speaking, how was he able to do all this so quickly? It's simply because he had the ultimate purpose of his life very clearly defined. He was working towards Atma Kalyan. And because of that one North Star, he was able to forgive people. He was able to control his anger. He could put himself back in the state of equanimity, compassion, love, and therefore he attained omniscience. The key to this entire journey was the state of mind, and which is experiencing inner peace. Let me go ahead and reiterate two important elements here. One, our thoughts and attitudes determine where we're going to go. And number two, it is so important for us to have our ultimate purpose in life very clearly defined. If Atma Kalyan is a very lofty goal for you right now, it's fine. At least let's go ahead and make inner peace as our only purpose in life, our only goal in life. When you have only one goal, you can keep all your energy focused in that one direction and achieve it. So just to conclude part one, I'm going to leave you with this concept called Swapar. Swa as in self, par as in others. Notice it's Swa and then par, and the order always remains. Swa does not mean selfish or self-centered or self-obsessed. It actually means self-improvement, self-development, and self-focus. So, if you wish to attain inner peace, you will have to focus on yourself first and define your ultimate purpose, which could be to attain inner peace. Once you have that clearly defined, you can then generate forgiveness, compassion, love for other people. Using the two concepts, you will be able to experience part 2 of this program, where I will take you deeper into the concept of how you can attain inner peace. Hello and welcome to part 2. In this part, we're going to talk about our belief systems and reality, attack and defense, and a shift in perceptions. Let's start by understanding about beliefs. Well, every belief of ours influences our thoughts. And therefore, if the beliefs are not understood properly, it is almost impossible for us to make any progress in order to attain inner peace. Our beliefs typically comes from our past experiences, and they are relived now here in the present with the anticipation of the future, most of which is actually driven by the past fears. Until and unless we do not understand that the perceptions that we have today are because of our beliefs, and these beliefs really make sure that we experience the present happenings with its own limitations. So if we wish to have a new or deeper sense of reality, we have to challenge these beliefs. All of us have tremendous amount of infinite potential which is lying within us. But it is these covers of clouds created by these beliefs that stop us from experiencing what we really should be doing. The feeling of love comes from present. Fear comes from past and future. If you look at the story of King Prasenajit, you'll notice that the moment he went into the past or the future, he was filled with fear, and therefore he unleashed anger and the mental battle. But the moment he came into love, he experienced the reality now here in the present, and he was able to experience a very different kind of existence for himself. So the important thing is for us to understand the reality of our beliefs and the willingness to challenge them, the willingness to change them. Because if we can understand and change our beliefs, we can then generate different kind of thoughts and therefore start a journey towards attaining inner peace. Now let's look at a concept of attack and defense. Let's say if you and I are in a war against each other, and if I attack you, Instinctively, you will first defend and then attack back. Now, that is really what happens in most of the conversations. Whenever we perceive someone as attacking us, we first defend and then find a way, directly or indirectly, to attack the person back again. Now, we actually believe that attack or defense can help us in some way, but the reality is that both of them can never ever help us attain inner peace. So, can we bring a shift in our perception? Now, if a person is attacking you, look at this person as filled with fear, a person who's calling for help, a person who needs love. And if you can then change your perception and look at this person as the person who needs help and give him the help, give him the understanding, give him the compassion, then you would have taken the first step towards achieving inner peace. On the other hand, the person who's attacking needs to understand that however good your intentions may be, and even if you are trying to give the person the most constructive criticism, we are still trying to prove to them their wrongness and our rightness. So I think it is important for us to really check what our intentions really are all about. With that having said, I'd like to leave you with this thought that it is important that we do not try to change the other person, because that is never going to be in our control. What we can do is to change our perceptions, change our beliefs, and trying to understand the other person's need and then maneuver the conversations around with that thought in mind. Because all you need is a willingness to challenge your beliefs that can influence your thoughts, and your thoughts can therefore have a new destiny designed for you. Welcome back to part 3. We will now discuss tools and techniques that you can apply in your life and experience inner peace almost instantly. For which we're going to get started by a little bit of understanding of science, energy. I'm sure we all know this, that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. It can be converted into different forms. Now, remember that every thought that we generate also consumes energy, just like the way the electrical equipments that you use at home. They require a certain amount of energy to flow through them so that they can function optimally. Too much of energy or too little of energy means that they will not function properly and may also get damaged or harm people who are using these equipments. Just like that, this body of ours needs to have just the right amount of energy flowing through it. Too much or too little is going to harm you or the person interacting with you. With this fundamental understanding, it's time for us to get into some live experiments. I'd like you to ensure this for the next 5 minutes. No one disturbs you whatsoever. Let's start with the first experiment now. Okay, this one's called light or heavy. I'd like you to close your eyes, really close your eyes right now, and recall a situation from past where someone's hurt you, someone's demeaned you, used abusive language, or maybe spoke rudely with you, and you knew this, that you were not wrong, but you were falsely accused of something. I want you to stay in that memory for a few seconds. Visualize the pictures, see what really happened, who the person was, what was being told to you, and what were you experiencing then. Now just become aware. You will actually be experiencing this feeling in your body right now, right here. Okay, move your right hand onto that part of the body where you actually feel that feeling right now. Open your eyes. Let me ask you a question. Were you feeling heavy or were you feeling light? I know you were feeling heavy, weren't you? All right, close your eyes again. Now I'd like you to recall another instance. I'd like you to remember where you have done something for someone else without any expectations. Can you recall one instance where you were going out of a way to help someone, maybe a friend, a colleague, maybe a family member? Can you recall all the actions that you were taking and the person was filled with gratitude and was thanking you profusely? Can you recall that instance? Close your eyes. Visualize the situation, the person. Visualize what were the actions that you were taking to help that person. I want you to now stay in that feeling for a few moments. Now, can you feel that feeling in your body right now? Okay, you can open your eyes. Tell me, what were you feeling? Light or heavy? I'm sure you were feeling light. So this is it. You see, every thought, every emotion which is heavy is consuming a lot of energy. And every thought and every emotion which is light actually amplifies your energy. This is the fundamental truth about how your thoughts work with energies. Now, let's go back and look at when you are feeling heavy. So when you do feel heavy, what happens in the body? What happens in the endocrine system? I think it's worth knowing. Our endocrine system has a very simple function, and that is to produce hormones and chemicals optimally so that your body functions at its best. Now, every time there is a change in the way you think, the change in your emotions, there is a change in the way the chemicals are produced in the body as well. For example, there's an accident that takes place. What happens? You instantly try to respond to that situation by being very alert. Your adrenaline kicks in and you really become alert and you deal with that situation. In reality, what your brain is doing is it is in the fight or flight response, which is required, which is important during this emergency situation. It calls for it. But the body has to go back to its normal way of functioning. What happens in relationships is this, that when we have an argument with someone, the body goes exactly in the same fight or flight mode. It starts producing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to deal with the situation because the body wants to feel safe, which is okay. But when we carry that forward, when we carry that emotion forward, when we carry the stress forward for days and days and days together, that is when your body starts going out of whack. That is when the endocrine system is unable to produce the right kind of chemicals with the right balance. What's the net result? You fall ill. Now, what's the side effect of that? In this anger, frustration, anxiety, and fear, you do not deal with the people you interact with in the right manner, and therefore you also create conflicts in those relationships. That is the real problem. Now, the question is, how do we deal with that? So let's go ahead and talk about that. Now, let me ask you yet another question. How old are you? And your answer may be 30 years, 40, 50 or 60 years perhaps. But that's the age of your body. My question is, how old are you, as in your soul? And your answer may be infinite number of years. Now, this is an interesting thought. Keep it aside. We'll come back and revisit it. Now, let's talk about energy one more time. Energy cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred. Now, you are nothing but a source of energy. And where did this energy come from? Your parents. And how did they get the energy? From their parents. And their parents gave it to them. Eventually, if you try to trace it all the way back, maybe the energies come from Mother Earth. I would now like you to close your eyes and visualize a recent conflict that you're experiencing with someone. Either it's just happened or it's still happening right now. Okay, I would like you to try and become aware of that feeling, become aware of that emotion, and give a name to that emotion. What are you experiencing? Impatience, anger, frustration, anxiety, fear. What is it that you're experiencing? Okay, now whatever that you're experiencing, acknowledge it, open your eyes and hear me. Now, this particular emotion that you're experiencing comes from a certain thought, and that thought is using energy, right? The question is, whom does this thought or this emotion belong to? You will say, you. But hold on. It may be in your body right now, but originally it has come from someone else to you. If you're getting angry, anger may have come to you from your mother, maybe your dad, maybe your grandfather, I'm not sure. Impatience must have come to you from a friend or a teacher, I'm not sure. Remember, energy cannot be created, cannot be destroyed, it can only be transferred. So this has come to you from someone else. So I want you to close your eyes one more time. Do it now. Acknowledge that this emotion is in your body right now, but it doesn't belong to you, and you want to give it back to whomsoever it belongs to. Now, if you can identify who the person is, think of the person and give it back. If you can't identify, then you can give it back to Mother Earth. But the important thing is you give it back. Close your eyes, do it now. Experience that you're giving it back. Open your eyes. If you've done this exercise well, you must be able to feel light right now. So the tool is become aware of the emotion. Ask yourself a question. Whom does it belong to? Give it back. You may just have one small doubt in your brain, and that is, hey Rahul, this is a negative emotion. If I give it back to that person, will that person not get harmed? Absolutely not. The person is not even aware or present of the thought that this is happening. So just give it back. And when you know that it has gone from you, who knows? Mother Earth might just absorb it, dissolve it. It is very important that you understand that every heavy emotion typically comes with a combination of conclusion and judgment. Yes, only when we have concluded or we have come to a judgment about a person or a situation that you actually generate these heavy emotions. Now, what do you do about that? Recognize the fact that when you have a conclusion or you have a judgment, you actually close down possibilities. You create so many limitations that you can never experience freedom. You can never experience magnanimity. You can never experience solutions. So the first thing to do is to ask yourself, have you already drawn a conclusion? Are you already judgmental about things or people? If yes, just remind yourself that this is the truth of you and you wish to actually let go of this truth. You wish to create possibilities. The moment you think of love, the moment you think of forgiveness, the moment you think of moving forward, the moment you think of actually attaining inner peace, you create possibilities for yourself. Question, how do we do that? Tool number 2, ask yourself a question, what else is possible? It's so simple. Just ask yourself a question, what else is possible? Now, how do we do that? So let's indulge ourselves in yet another quick activity where I'll be able to help you to figure out what else is possible in that situation. Now, I'm not aware exactly what you're going through, but let's presume that somebody's had an argument with his wife and he's now drawn the conclusion saying that my wife is like this, she's never going to change, she's very stubborn. Okay, or it could be that you had a situation with your kid and you're really trying to help him out, but your child is just against you, and you've drawn the conclusion that my child is completely out of my control. Now you see, these are all conclusions and judgments that we pass, and therefore we block our brain from generating options. Okay, so now let us understand the technique called the 90 seconds technique. It's very simple. I wanted to think of this person with whom you have a particular problem, and maybe you've even drawn some conclusions or judgments. Just go ahead and ask yourself, what would you really like to do? Would you like to have inner peace, or would you really like to stay in that state that you're in? If your option is to go for inner peace, then go ahead and play this game with me. Trust me, it's going to help you tremendously. So if I were to come and tell you this, that you have the last 90 seconds only left for you to be in this world, and you have this person in front of you, what is it that you want to tell this person? Go ahead and try this out. 90 seconds. Do this in your mind, write it on paper. Do it now. Come up with the idea, come up with the option. Come on, let's go for it really quick. Okay, stop. I will now tell you that you have 90 seconds more. Those 90 seconds are gone and you have fresh 90 seconds. Go for it. Indulge yourself in some more thought process. 90 more seconds. What else can you do with this person? Come on, go for it. Can your mind come up with some new ideas? What would you tell this person? What would you do with this person? Okay, great. Those 90 seconds are gone and God has given you 90 more fresh seconds. I mean, this is it. 90 more fresh seconds. Go for it now. Come on, go for it. Try. See, can you come up with some more options, some more ideas? Come on, go for it. What else could be the reality? What else could you try? Stop. Now, God has been very generous, and he tells me that, hey Rahul, I'm busy. Why don't you just go ahead and continue with this person? And I thought, okay, I'm going to give you 90 more fresh seconds. Just go ahead and try something out. 90 more fresh seconds. Can you come up with more options? Go for it. Don't stop yourself. I know that may be difficult. Just go ahead. Challenge yourself. Come up with 90 more seconds. Fresh new thought. Well, I'm very inspired with the way God gave you so many chances. I'm going to give you one last 90 seconds. Can you try and see if you can come up with one more idea, one more thought? Go ahead. Now, did you notice that you had so many different options that you generated, and all of that in less than 5 minutes time? This is exactly what our brain needs. Our brain needs options. When the brain can look for options and stop being judgmental, that is when you create opportunities, that is when you create possibilities, and that is when you create a chance to give yourself an experience of inner peace. So let's go for a quick recap now. If you notice, what I've said is that energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can be transferred. And therefore, every thought that we generate, every emotion that we generate actually creates a certain amount of flow of energy. Now, that could either make you feel light or it can make you feel heavy. This is an interesting concept. I just love it. Every hour of the day, every minute of the day, you can keep asking yourself a question. Exactly at this point in time, how am I feeling? Light or heavy? When you know you're feeling heavy, then try and figure out what is that feeling that you're going through? What is that emotion that you're going through? Give it a name. And then tell yourself, this doesn't belong to me. Whom does it belong to? And then pass it on to the person to whomsoever it belongs. At this point in time, you would feel light. And when you feel light, that is the sign that you are beginning to attain inner peace. But the job is not over yet. So what you need to do is to ask yourself another question. Whenever you're in a situation of conflict or misunderstanding with someone, have you already drawn a conclusion? Are you being judgmental? If yes, dissolve that thought process and look for options. How do you look for options? By asking yourself a question, what else is possible? Now, when you know that when you're asking this question of what else is possible and you get stuck, then use the 90 seconds technique. What that will do is to give you a variety of options. Now, when you have a variety of options, you know this, that you can get your control back. Remember, you're not working with the other person. You're not asking the other person to change. You're accepting the other person the way he or she is. The focus is here, the work is happening here, and when you can learn to do the work here, you know you are in control of your thoughts. You know you can challenge your beliefs. You know you can attain inner peace. Well, now let's move on to the last tool of this particular segment, which is your breath. Yes, I'd like you to become aware of the way you breathe. Because you know what? Every time you have a certain thought, your breath changes. And depending on the way you're breathing, your posture changes. And depending on the way your posture and your breathing changes, you react in a certain way, either calm and peaceful or impatient and angry. It has a beautiful connect. And if you can become aware of this, you can actually get control of all your heavy emotions and therefore continue on your path of attaining inner peace. So, here's a very simple experiment. I'm going to give you 60 seconds time, and I would like you to become aware of your breathing pattern by placing your right hand on your chest, your left hand on your stomach, and every time you breathe, please make sure that your stomach expands while you breathe in and it contracts when you breathe out. You don't have to make any extra efforts. This is not some kind of pranayam. I just want you to be aware of your normal breathing process, just normal, as you would breathe like when you're listening to me, right? So could you please now get your right hand on top here over the chest and the left hand on your stomach, and your 60 seconds time starts now. You have 10 more seconds to go. Just be aware of the number of breaths that you're taking. Okay, you can stop now. So how many breaths did you take? More than 10 or less than 10? If it is more than 10 breaths, then it's a red flag. If it's less than 10, then you're pretty good. What's the ideal number? 6. Yes, only 6 breaths per minute. That's what you should be aiming for. So what are the advantages of slowing down your breath? Immediately you will see that your heart rate slows down and the oxygen supply in your brain increases, signaling to the brain that it's time to wind down. Also, the cortisol level comes down dramatically and the rush of endorphin ensures that you feel really good. Now, when you are in this kind of a circumstance, you will not react, you will only respond. And the more and more you master this, the better and better you will get with this particular technique. Remember, when you slow down your breathing, you slow down your thoughts. When you slow down your thoughts, you will actually not react. You will not create any negative circumstances for yourself or other people. And that is another brilliant way of attaining inner peace. All right, why don't we now then go ahead and practice how to breathe for 6 times only per minute. Okay, follow my instructions. Let's get started. Sit straight. Just imagine that someone's pulling your head from top. So your head goes straight, your back is straight up. And let's start now. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. Breathe out. Continue for the next 2 minutes. Well, we're done with 2 minutes and I'm sure you already must be feeling beautiful, calm in your brain. If you can do this in 2 minutes, just imagine if this becomes your lifetime habit. Let's start by about 5 minutes practice in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, 5 minutes in the evening. If you can, go for 10 minutes each and see slowly what happens to your breathing pattern and the impact it has on your thoughts and your emotions and the way you deal with people. This is a tool that you can control and only you can. The moment you know how to control your breath, you will see the way your thoughts are generated also gets influenced tremendously. And if you generate the right kind of thoughts, you already know this, that your behaviors change as well. What's the impact of all of this? Well, it means that you will be able to heal any kind of disease that exists in your body. Disease means that which is not at ease. When thoughts are not at ease, the body is not at ease. Why? Because our body is just a reflection of our thoughts. I'm going to come back and meet you again in part 4, where we go on for the conclusion and how we should try and practice all that we've learned so far. I'll see you on the other side soon. Welcome to part 4. I really hope that you've enjoyed your journey so far, and now is the time for us to talk about the way forward and the impact of your actions. Well, you and I both know that every tool and technique that we have discussed over here needs to be practiced, needs to be mastered, which means to say that you'll really have to put in efforts every single day. Constant, consistent commitment, or bar lagatar wala commitment, like I call it in Hindi. You need to keep yourself persistent on working with these tools. You will experience the highs and the lows. Success will come to you in the form of waves, but do not give up. Here's what I would recommend that you do. Every morning and every night, remind yourself of your ultimate goal or your ultimate purpose in life, which is, of course, to have inner peace. Do it as soon as you get up, or just before you go to sleep. Now, these are two sweet spots, as we call them. Why? Because our brain experiences different form of waves. When you just wake up and you're about to get into your daily routine, your brain waves shifts from theta waves to alpha waves. And likewise, when you're just about to go to sleep, it shifts from alpha into theta waves. Now, that is the time when you can actually access your subconscious mind, pass on the suggestions, allow them to get strengthened, and then they will drive your life. That's a beautiful concept. Just believe in it. I would also suggest that you remind yourself of your ultimate purpose in life as many times as you can through the day. The more you do, the better you get. The tools and techniques now, they're very important, right? You need to try and practice them. Every single time you experience difficulty, you feel that your emotions are getting heavy, just use the techniques and see what really happens. Make notes whenever you can about your experiences. You will know really what's working for you and what's not working for you. What is it that you're doing well and what is it that you're not doing well? With these insights, you will only get better the next day. Finally, of course, talk about your success and celebrate success. It really makes a lot of difference. For those of you who wish to follow me on YouTube, well, the channel is Rahul Kapoor Live. Go ahead and subscribe to it, and we'll be in touch with you with the best and the latest video curated so that you can progress in your journey to attain inner peace. Next, I'm sure some of you must have noticed that while I was in part 1, I spoke about Swa and Par, but while I came to part 3, I only covered tools and techniques to do with Swa. Now, the tools and techniques of Par have not been covered here simply because of the limitation of time that we had. But the good news is that I do conduct 2-day seminar on this very subject, and for those of you who are interested, the email ID still remains the same, hello@rahulkapoor.in, subject line, seminar request, and my team will send you all the details that we have and will tell you how we can stay connected. Finally, it's time for me to say goodbye, and I really hope that you've all enjoyed this program as much as I have enjoyed bringing it to you. Do not forget your ultimate purpose in life. That one thing that we're all looking for is to have inner peace. And you can deliberately act and attain it. Until we meet the next time, you take care of yourselves. I'd also like to thank Jena for its continued support for so many years in bringing me in front of all of you so that I can share some of the best ideas and thoughts as far as Jainism is concerned, using the concept of science and psychology.